Obama the Space Cadet is the title of today's program on the Savage Nation. This is perhaps the most serious destructive act the boy president has conducted in his entire career. We know that Obama is destroying America's healthcare system. We know that Obama has nationalized the automobile industry, and he turned it over to a gangster, actually. You know that his first car czar was indicted by New York State yesterday for fraud? You didn't know about that. The car czar was indicted for fraud. We know he's out to destroy our military. We know he's out space program as well. This week, Obama announced that he's going to end NASA's current space exploration program. He's going to hand billions of dollars over to private companies, which on face value sounds good, right? But wait till you hear the details. He's going to let these companies take over the work of building new space shuttles. Sounds good, doesn't it? Well, listen carefully. Obama says he thinks that private companies can build the current space shuttle's replacement quicker and more cheaply than NASA. But guess what? The soonest a privately built space shuttle can be ready is 2014. And what is Obama doing in the meantime to get astronauts and cargo into space? Here it comes. He's buying a ticket on a Russian rocket. He's buying 6 seats each year on Russia's SOYUZ spacecraft for however long it may take these private companies to build a replacement. The key question is, does Russia get to develop and control space-based weapons in the interim? Is this just a ploy on the part of Obama to completely derail NASA's space shuttle program in order to permit Russia to advance so far ahead of us that we can never catch up? Meanwhile, while our people are on the Russian SOYUZ spacecraft to get up into space, that means Russia controls them. That means Russia gets to develop and control space-based weapons while we're sitting here and waiting for GE and Lockheed Martin to develop the rockets. Now, who are these private companies? Well, there's Lockheed Martin, and just this year they've given $800,000 in campaign contributions to Democrats in this year alone. Boeing, also now based in Chicago, from Seattle to Chicago, Boeing has given $900,000 so far to Democrats in 2010. And although Obama is increasing NASA's budget by $6 billion, most of that money will go to, quote, seed commercial development. What does that mean, to seed commercial development? In other words, the money will go to pay off the same companies that just contributed to Obama's friends. You see, you give $1 million, you get $1 billion. Not a bad investment for Boeing. So Obama is destroying the space program that got us to the moon, and he's making us dependent on Russia, the same nation we fought for decades in the space race to get astronauts into space. And on top of it all, he's using NASA to fund the massive payoff of his campaign contributors. Space Cadet Obama may be about to blast off, but he's leaving America down for the count. I'm Michael Savage. That opens the show. Play Fly Me to the Moon. I'll take the calls at 1-800-449-8255, michaelsavage.com. It's one shock to the system after another. As I told you last week, you can turn it off already. The fun is over. I told you last week, you don't know which way to turn with a man like this. He hits us with one shocking policy after another. He jumps from one thing to the other without giving you a chance to catch your breath. Now, many of you are confused. Many of you think that this man is doing this because he's helter-skelter. Many of you think he's doing it because he's overly ambitious. What you don't understand is that this is part of a strategy developed a long time ago in order to overwhelm a country and introduce a Marxist government. You don't understand any of this, nor do any of the people in the media, because they've never, ever studied the Piven strategy. Now, I'm not going to do it for you now. It's too complicated to go into. Just know it's in a nutshell, here's what it is. You overwhelm the system. You overwhelm the people with one initiative after another until eventually they can't decide which initiative is which and which is more important than the last one. They beat you to death with health care. Now they're taking apart the nuclear arsenal. Now they're taking apart NASA. What's tomorrow? Is tomorrow going to be free speech itself? Does the government bail out the newspapers and then control the schmucks in the fifth column totally? The few who are left who actually stand up to him will be owned by him lock, stock, and barrel? When the hell are you schmucks going to wake up to what's going on around you? You putzes, you? That's my opinion. It's one man's opinion. And then today, You know, there's never been a president in modern times who has mocked the opposition the way this one does. This one is an arrogant one. Listen to him mocking Tea Partiers in clip 1.
One thing we haven't done is raise income taxes on families making less than $250,000 a year. Another promise that we kept. So I've been a little amused over the last couple of days where people have been having these rallies about taxes. You would think they would be saying thank you.
You see, the schmucks who are laughing are either all working for the Democrat Party, or they're fat cat government employees, or they're paying no taxes at all. Again, he's lying to you. He has raised taxes on people making that amount of money, and those are the people out there in the Tea Parties, by the way. They're small business people, by and large. They're taxpayers, for sure. They're not the welfare recipients who put Obama in.
Some have said it is unfeasible or unwise to work with the private sector in this way. I disagree. The truth is, NASA has always relied on private industry to help design and build the vehicles that carry astronauts to space. Now, it's true. There are Floridians who will see their work on the shuttle end as the program winds down. I'm proposing a $40 million initiative led by a high-level team from the White House, NASA, and other agencies to develop a plan for regional economic growth and job creation. And I expect this plan to reach my desk by August 15th.
Now, you have to ask yourself why this president is rushing to take so many things apart so quickly. And I've given you the answer. Was this necessary at this time? Was it necessary to destroy NASA? Was it necessary the other day to make an agreement with Russia that would destroy 30% of our nuclear arsenal? Was it necessary to jam health care down our throat? See, many of you are still recoiling from the health care fight. He hasn't stopped. He hasn't stopped because he's only gotten started. He's going to hit you with illegal aliens next. Then he's going to hit you with cap and tax after that. Every radical leftist plan that has been sitting and waiting for decades will be forced down your throat because there's no opposition. Because the fourth estate has become the fifth column. Because there is no opposition Republican Party. Because there's no judiciary. There's no action against this man. He's a dictator. At least that's my opinion. What's your opinion? If you want something lighter, shortly on the Savage Nation, if you missed it this week, I received numerous emails about Michael Savage's walk through Chinatown and his stream of consciousness from Chinese to Edith Piaf to Dean Martin. And I was talking about my indifference to Obama's Marxist-Leninist activities. All I wanted to do was walk the streets of San Francisco. And I mused as I walked along. And I got lots of people wanting to hear it again, and you're going to hear it shortly in this hour. But let's go to the callers right now. Troy in Houston, welcome to the Savage Nation. Go ahead, please.
Dr. Savage, I worked for Space Industries, and we flew 2 missions for NASA, and it was for the University of Houston, and that's where a lot of our computer chips come from, or the crystals that they use in computer chips. They were growing crystals in gravity-free environments, 1994, 95, 96, and that's the reason we have some of the fast computer chips we have today. So in
other words, some of the great advances in technology came from the NASA program.
Absolutely. I mean, if we lose NASA, we're losing a lot more than people realize.
Even John F. Kennedy, who would be a radical conservative by today's Democrat standard, John F. Kennedy created the U.S. space program because we were outgunned by Russia in 1957. I remember it because I was in high school, I think, but there was a big, gigantic outcry because Russia got a man to the moon first, and America felt embarrassed. And then there was a crash program to educate scientists and engineers in the United States of America. I remember distinctly what was going on in the late 1950s. And, of course, the United States became the supreme master of space until this character came along, and he now wants to set us back 30 years. Paul in New York, welcome to the Savage Nation. Go ahead, please.
Hi, Dr. Savage. I don't think it's such a bad idea. I think space is an area where nations already kind of help each other out. The scientists, they have a community now.
What world are you living in? You're telling me everyone gets along in space? They sing Kumbaya up in the stratosphere?
No, but I think the scientific communities in each nation do. I mean, they have the International Space Station. They all work together.
Oh, so up in space, everybody's a partier, and They all get along. So you mean Russia has no desire to develop and control space-based weapons before we do?
I'm sure they do. Why wouldn't they? But just getting it.
Wait, hold it. Now you're taking the other side. So which side are you on?
Well, I'm sure. Listen, I mean, everyone wants the best weapons available. But
wait, you just said that there's no problem with Obama destroying NASA. There's no problem with Obama buying tickets on the Russian spacecraft SOYUZ to transport our scientists up to the space station. And then you're saying you're sure that Russia wants to develop space weapons that are better than ours. So which way is it?
I think it's both. I think that we do need to privatize.
So in other words, you're not sure.
No, I'm sure. I mean, I think we have.
You're sure of what? You're sure of being unsure.
Well,
you're sure of being unsure. That's what you're sure of.
No, I'm sure that.
All right, take a walk. Go back to, this is, again, I don't know whether it's Friday